Hello everyone, this is part 4 of chapter number 2 Psychology class plus 2 and the name of the chapter is Self and Personality. The topics that will be covered in this part are we will do trait approaches of personality and there are 4 trait approaches that are there in your syllabus. First is Allport's trait approach, second is Cattell's trait approach and then Ising's trait approach and the last is Big 5 model of personality. So before starting, I would like to ask you one question that if someone asks you to describe a close friend's personality, what kind of things would you say? Probably a few things that come to your mind are descriptive terms such as outgoing, shy, lovable, kind, friendly, and all these represent traits. A trait is actually a relatively stable characteristic that causes individual to behave in certain ways. So trait can be your quality, characteristic, feature, attribute that remains stable, that remains same over a period of time. It may vary, but most of the time it remains same. And these approaches, trait approaches of personality, assume that behavior is determined by these relatively stable traits, which are fundamental units of one's personality. Alright, so our behavior is determined, is assessed, is governed by these traits. And these traits are fundamental units of one's personality because most of the time person behaves according to his or her traits. And these traits lead one to act in a certain way, regardless of the situation. This means the traits remain consistent, they remain same across situations and over a period of time, but may vary. So there are certain characteristics of traits, and the first is they are relatively stable over a period of time that we discussed just now, that they remain stable, they remain same over a period of time. Over a period of time, relatively stable. They are not always stable, but most of the times they are stable. They are stable. They are generally consistent. Consistent means same across all the situations. For example, if one is honest, he will remain honest in all the situations, all kinds of situations. He will be an honest person most of the times. And their strengths and combinations vary across individuals, leading to individual differences in personality. So their strengths, for example, a person who is known for his honesty, who is known for his kindness, alright, and other person is also have the same trait, but the strength may vary. For example, first person may be more kind or more honest than the other person. So that variation will be there. That will lead to individual differences in personality. And as I told you, there are 4 trait approaches in your syllabus. That is Allport's trait approach, Cattell's trait approach, Ising's trait approach, and 5-factor model of personality, that is also known as Big 5 model of personality. So first of all, we will start with Allport's trait approach. Jordan Allport's trait approach. And he is considered the pioneer of trait approach. He proposed that individuals possess a number of traits which are dynamic in nature. Dynamic means which keeps on changing. And they determine behavior in such a manner that an individual approaches different situations with similar plans, with similar traits. Means there may be variation in traits, but most of the time an individual approaches different kinds of situation with same traits. Alright. And in 1936, he found one English language dictionary which contained more than 4,000 words describing different personality traits. Imagine 4,000 words describing these traits. And he divided these traits into hierarchy of 3 levels, that is cardinal trait, central traits, and secondary traits. Cardinal traits dominate and shape an individual's behavior. They are highly generalized traits. These traits represent an individual's personality. They are on the top of the hierarchy because they are called the ruling passions of individuals. People are known for these traits. No matter what, they behave according to that trait only. For example, a person who is kind, he will be kind to everyone, no matter who. He will be kind even to the beggar. Alright. So people with such personalities can become well known for these cardinal traits that their names are often synonymous with their qualities. For example, Mother Teresa's altruism. She is still known for his kindness. She was kind to people irrespective of color, caste, and creed. Altruism means helping others without any benefit, without any reward in turn. So she is still known by this trait. And Hitler, he is still known for his Nazism. We still study about Nazism. And one more example we can take here is Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence. He is still known for his non-violent behavior, his non-violent trait. Alright, so that's why they are considered an individual's ruling passions. They are collectively known as individuals' master control. And Allport suggested that these cardinal traits are rare and tend to develop later in life. Whereas central traits, which come next in the hierarchy, are journal characteristics found in varying degrees in every person. They aren't as dominant as cardinal traits, but they are important traits, such as loyalty, kindness, friendliness, and so on. Means they are not as dominant as cardinal traits, but they are journal. They are there in an individual. And secondary traits, which exist at the bottom of the hierarchy, and they are also known as least generalized traits because they are not quite as obvious as consistent as cardinal traits. They are plentiful, they are in number, but only present under specific circumstances. They are sometimes related to preferences or attitudes. For example, getting anxious when speaking to a group or becoming impatient while waiting in a line. So these are just situational traits. For example, one who gets anxious while speaking in a group, he may not get anxious in most of the situations. He gets anxious only when he talks in a group. Otherwise, he is very confident. Or one who becomes very impatient while waiting in a line. This is just a situational behavior. Otherwise, he is very cool and calm. He always remains relaxed. But in that particular situation, when he has to wait in a line, he becomes impatient. So these are situational traits basically. Alright. So these are the 3 traits given by Jordan Allport. Now the next approach is Catel's trait approach. Actually, in an effort to make Allport's list of 4,000 traits more manageable, Raymond Cattell took the list and removed all the synonyms, reducing the number down to 171. And then Cattell rated a large sample of individuals for these 171 different traits. Then, using a statistical technique known as factor analysis, he identified closely related terms and eventually reduced his list of 171 traits to just 16 key personality traits. And according to Cattell, these 16 traits are the source of all human personality. And then he also developed one of the most widely used personality assessments known as 16 Personality Factor Questionnaire, that is 16PF. And in his approach, he classified traits as surface traits and source traits. Cattell found 16 source traits, which are also known as primary traits, and they are stable. They remain same and considered as the building blocks to personality. All these traits form part of an individual's personality. And surface traits are caused by interaction of these source traits. For example, person who is known for his altruism. Now altruism here is his surface trait. Alright. So being altruistic would be a surface trait, while source traits that comprise this would be being unselfishness, not greedy, sharing and thoughtful. Means these source traits will combine to make a surface trait, that is altruism. So a surface trait is comprised of these source traits, and Cattell considered source traits to be more influential than surface traits in studying personality. And surface traits, they are easily visible to others, whereas source traits, they are not visible as they underlie the personality of an individual. So these were the two traits given by Cattell in his approach of personality. Now next approach is Ising's trait approach. H.J. Ising proposed that personality could be reduced into three broad dimensions. Actually, he reduced Cattell's 16 key traits into three dimensions, and these dimensions are biologically and genetically based. These three dimensions are neuroticism versus emotional stability, extraversion versus introversion, and psychoticism versus sociability. Actually, first of all, he gave two dimensions, then he added on the third one, that is psychoticism versus sociability. So, first of all, we will start with neuroticism versus emotional stability. And individuals scoring high on neuroticism, they tend to experience high levels of stress and anxiety. They worry about relatively insignificant matters and they feel that they are unable to cope with life stressors. They are moody, anxious, restless, and quickly lose control. Actually, neurotic people, they are characterized by perfectionism, and when their perfectionism is not met, they are unable to be perfect. It leads to dissatisfaction, anxiousness, frustration, and stress. And a person with low neuroticism score will generally experience emotional stability. He will be cool and calm. He will remain under control. And they feel more able to cope with stressful events because they score less on neuroticism. So they are just opposite of neurotic people. Now the second dimension is extraversion versus introversion. This is just like Jung's type approach. And individuals with high level of extraversion, they engage more in social activities. They tend to be more talkative, outgoing, and feel more at ease in group. They enjoy being the focus of attention. That's why they have a large social network of friends. Whereas introverts, they tend to be quiet, shy away from large social gatherings, and they feel uncomfortable engaging with strangers. That's why they maintain smaller groups of close friends. And now the third dimension of personality, that is psychoticism versus sociability, was added on later by Ising. And individuals with high psychoticism, they engage in irresponsible behavior. They tend to be hostile, egocentric, and antisocial. They are called psychotic people. And individuals high on sociability, they tend to be more friendly, cooperative, and responsible. So this is all about Ising's trait approach. Both Cattell's and Ising's theories have been the subject of considerable research. Some theorists, they believe that Cattell focused on too many traits while Ising focused on too few. As a result, a new trait theory that is often referred to as the Big Five theory or five-factor model of personality came into being. This five-factor model of personality represents five core traits, five important traits that interact to form human personality. And it is the most widely accepted personality theory in the scientific community. The Big Five is so named because the model proposes that human personality can be measured along five major dimensions, each of which is distinct and independent from the other. And these five dimensions are openness to experience, extraversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, and conscientiousness. First is openness to experience. Those who score high on this factor are imaginative, curious, open to new ideas, and interested in cultural pursuits. They think logically and they enjoy playing with new ideas and discover novel experiences. In contrast, those who score low, they are rigid and traditional. Extraversion, it characterizes people who are socially active, assertive, outgoing, talkative, and fun loving. They have large network of friends. On the opposite of it, that is introversion, it characterizes people who are shy, they talk less. And agreeableness, this factor characterizes people who are helpful, cooperative, friendly, caring, and nurturing. On the opposite are people who are hostile and self centered. Next is neuroticism, and people who score high on this factor are emotionally unstable, anxious, worried, fearful, and irritable. And on the opposite side are people who are well adjusted with emotional stability. And the last dimension is conscientiousness, and those who score high on this factor are achievement oriented, they are goal oriented, responsible, hardworking, and self controlled. On the opposite are people who are impulsive and they can easily be sidetracked. And these five factors may be easily remembered using the acronym OCEAN. O for openness to experience, C for conscientiousness, E for extraversion, A for agreeableness, and N for neuroticism. So, this is all about trait approaches of personality. I hope all the topics are clear to you. And if you have any doubt, any question, or any query, you can write in the comment section. And we will meet once again with the next part of this chapter. And in the next part, we will start with psychodynamic approach. Till then, take care. Thank you.